Anime, the legendary hero is dead. Continuing to episode 5, where in the previous episode, Marguerite was preparing to hand over her pendant to Tuca. However, Tuca panicked and proposed a different idea. He knew that Leland was not a real necromancer. He used a magic crystal to perform necromancy. Tuca's plan was to destroy that magic crystal. On the other hand, Leland had started to become aware of the strangeness of the blood trail he had been following. It turned out that it wasn't blood, he had been lured into a trap. Tuca explained his idea again. Since Leland had consumed a lot of Soma drops, Tuca believed that Leland would deploy his army of skeletons in all directions. When using necromancy, the user shares their senses with their skeletal army. However, a human cannot focus on all the senses of their army, so it would be enough to create a simple trap to deceive one of Leland's skeletons. Tuca would disguise himself as a rock using his holy sword and wait for the opportunity to attack. When carrying out the ambush, Leland already knew that they were targeting his magic crystal, so he had moved its location. The only thing Tuca pierced was an ordinary hard bracelet. Despite the failure, they still had another plan. Tuca exposed the original magic crystal so that Marguerite could shoot it with an arrow. Marguerite had crafted the arrow using materials found in the forest. She could hit the target accurately. All of Leland's skeletal forces became powerless. However, in the midst of their joy over defeating Leland, a red-headed demon who had aided Leland appeared, dragging Surwela along. The demon fired a laser from its head, targeting Marguerite. Tuca shielded Marguerite from the laser, causing the bones in the back of his head to disappear completely. As a result, Tuca collapsed. He was still alive, but due to his slow regenerative abilities, Tuca would not regain consciousness quickly. Although uncertain about being able to defeat the demon, Yuna pressed forward and engaged in battle with it. Yuna managed to deliver several punches and kicks, but it was not enough to match the demon's strength. Amidst her fight with the demon, Yuna continued to worry about Tuca. Isaac searched Leland but found no Soma drops to give to Tuca. Yuna then asked Henri to transfer Tuca to his original body. Henri clearly refused, as transferring his soul under these conditions would result in disability. The demon became intrigued upon hearing this. It finally encountered the necromancer mentioned by Leland. The demon was puzzled as to why Henri wanted to save Tuca's life. After all, we, the necromancers, cannot feel sadness when someone dies. Henri did not understand why the demon also claimed to be a necromancer when it was, in fact, a demon and did not resemble the necromancer folk in appearance. The demon desired to take Henri and render her unconscious. The next target was to kill the princess. Isaac, still injured, tried to protect the princess. Yuna managed to stand up again and joined him in the fight. Isaac instructed Marguerite to run while they bought them some time. Marguerite successfully escaped, taking Tuca with her. She tried to activate her pendant to enhance Tuca's magic energy, but it wouldn't work. Tuca spoke in a faint voice, telling her not to force herself to do it. Besides, such actions were not befitting of a princess. Tuca had anticipated that it would end this way. He was just an ordinary farmer, unworthy of saving the world. Marguerite refuted his words. Tuca had saved her life, making him a true hero in her eyes. Tuca felt happy hearing this. He then asked Marguerite to listen to his final request. Tuca had a pair of stockings in his pocket and asked Marguerite to wear them. As he uttered his last request, Tuca was no longer able to respond to Marguerite. Marguerite couldn't bear the thought of Tuca dying now. She revealed that because of Tuca's lies during their time together, she had fallen in love with him. It was at that moment that tears started flowing from Marguerite's eyes, after 10 years of not shedding a single tear. Meanwhile, Isaac and Yuna were still overwhelmed in their battle against the red-headed demon. Suddenly, they heard Tuca's voice from behind. He had fully recovered, thanks to the princess's tears. His body was no longer skeletal in form. The red-headed demon had suspected that he was the hero, but it also realized that there was another soul within him. Regardless of who it was, the demon was determined to kill him. The demon unleashed the laser from its head once again. However, this time Tuca easily withstood the attack by using his holy sword, transformed into the shape of a shield. Tuca then prepared for his final strike. He transformed his holy sword into a giant thigh wearing the stockings. The thigh crushed the demon, defeating it instantly. As the demon was defeated, someone who appeared to have been controlling the demon from the beginning was revealed. He was a genuine necromancer named Diego Valentine. He was not alone, there was another necromancer named Friedrich Norstein, known as Lord Rascal. They planned to seek revenge against the hero. The next day had arrived. Leland was imprisoned and suffered from mental disorders due to excessive consumption of soma drops. Surwela was severely injured and needed to be hospitalized for a while. Isaac decided to run for the position of head of the orphanage that was previously managed by Leland. He wanted to improve his approach to education and avoid repeating the same mistakes. Once again, Marguerite insisted that it was not Isaac's fault. Moreover, her magical energy disorder had been cured. Marguerite suspected that her recovery was due to finally shedding the tears she had held back for 10 years and expressing her feelings. However, Tuca felt disappointed because he wanted to ask for her tears again if his body started to decay. Marguerite assured him that there was no need to worry because she would give him the remaining soma drops she had. Tuca was also curious when Marguerite mentioned that she had expressed her feelings. At that time, Tuca was unaware that Marguerite had confessed her love to him as he was already unconscious. Marguerite felt embarrassed to say it again. All Tuca remembered was Marguerite's final request before he lost consciousness. It turned out that Marguerite had asked him to wear the stockings he had given her. Tuca wished that Marguerite could join them and worship his thigh every day. Unfortunately, Marguerite had obligations as a princess. Tuca approached the king on his throne to bid him farewell. The king presented them with a gift that might be useful on their journey. To their surprise, they were given a horse-drawn carriage powered by transferring magical energy to the magic crystal. Henri immediately realized that she would be the one driving it, as the magical energy of Yuna and Tuca was very low. Tuca asked Isaac why Marguerite didn't come to see them off. Isaac revealed that the princess was studying with another teacher inside the palace. Marguerite waved her hand at them. Isaac also handed them a letter entrusted by the princess. During their journey, the three of them read the letter. Its contents expressed Marguerite's gratitude for having her life saved. Although Marguerite had been disappointed to learn that Tuca was not the true hero, she considered her memories with Tuca as a treasure. Once the world was at peace, Marguerite wanted to meet the true Tuca. There was an additional note in the letter. Marguerite mentioned that she had placed a gift in the back compartment of the carriage. Unbeknownst to them, Marguerite had hidden herself in the compartment and had planned a perfect surprise. Tuca argued that it was impossible for the princess to deceive them by hiding in the compartment, suggesting that the person who waved at them earlier must have been someone who resembled her, acting as her substitute. Marguerite's plan was completely ruined. Several days later, they found Marguerite hungry and in need of food. 15 days after leaving the capital, Tuca was seen practicing sword fighting with Marguerite. Marguerite clearly had the upper hand in swordsmanship. Tuca felt that she didn't need to practice sword fighting since she could rely on the power of her holy sword as usual. However, her magical energy had dropped to level 3, and she only had 5 drops of soma left. Tuca's magical energy was constantly used to regenerate her body, and using the power of the holy sword also drained her magical energy further. Therefore, Tuca had to learn to fight without relying on magical energy. Henri suddenly approached them with excitement, saying that they could have bird for dinner tonight. Henri had caught a bird that turned out to be a carrier pigeon delivering a message from Surwela. They decided not to cook the bird and instead read the contents of the letter it carried. It turned out that when they defeated the high-level demon the other day, a royal wizard witnessed a spirit flying towards the northeast. There was a possibility that the demon was controlled by an original necromancer. Surwela asked them to go to the northeast to search for clues. Henri didn't know who the controller of the demon was, but if there were other living necromancers besides her, they would surely seek revenge for the events that occurred 3 years ago. Tuca then wrote a response letter to Surwela. Her letter stated, "Find it yourself." Tuca said that her top priority now was to close the gate of hell, so she didn't care about other problems. At night, they arrived in a city called Morin. There, Marguerite resumed her education of Tuca, this time focusing on dining etiquette. Tuca questioned why Marguerite kept doing this. Marguerite replied that it was because Tuca would eventually become her husband. Tuca objected, stating that she would return to her original body after saving the world and live her old life. Marguerite also objected, claiming that Tuca would be regarded as the true hero after saving the world. The situation grew more chaotic as Henri also joined in the competition for Tuca's attention. Tuca couldn't believe that 2 girls were fighting over him instead of Cyan. After the meal, Yuna, Henri, and Marguerite bathed together. Suddenly, Yuna brought up whether Marguerite was sure about marrying Tuca. Marguerite had no objection to fulfilling her duty with Tuca, considering that he had saved her life. Yuna could only remain silent. Marguerite then asked about Yuna's feelings towards Tuka. Yuna expressed that she was unfortunate to have been stuck with Tuka since childhood. However, when Tuka collapsed, Yuna immediately confronted the demon without hesitation. Marguerite doubted that Yuna would act in the same way for someone she considered unimportant. Yuna stated that she only saw Tuka as a mischievous younger sibling. Marguerite then inquired if Yuna wouldn't mind if she married Tuka. Yuna suddenly became irritated and stormed out of the bathing area. While getting dressed in the changing room, Yuna realized she was wearing stockings even though she hadn't brought any. She immediately suspected Tuka, who was hiding nearby, and proceeded to scold him. Yuna told Tuka to stop constantly using Cyan's body to engage in peculiar activities. Tuka, who overheard her, became fed up with Yuna always bringing up Cyan. It was understandable, considering that Cyan had saved Yuna, unlike Tuka, who wasn't present when Yuna faced danger 3 years ago. Still angry, Yuna impulsively left wearing only her underwear. Yuna contemplated separating herself from the group since Marguerite would replace her. Outside, Yuna encountered several individuals who appeared to be perverts. Although Yuna herself was being indiscreet by only wearing underwear. Yuna's left shoulder was bitten by one of the gang members. She managed to hide from them and didn't expect to be pursued by so many perverted individuals. Suddenly, Yuna's head began to ache, and the bite mark felt like it was burning. It seemed that those chasing her weren't ordinary people. Tuka found Yuna and brought her a cloth. Yuna mentioned that her body felt hot. Tuka wondered why her body would feel hot even though she was only wearing underwear. Perhaps this was a signal from Yuna, wearing only underwear and luring him into a narrow alleyway. Not long after, the gang members located Yuna and Tuka. Yuna stated that they weren't ordinary citizens. She had been bitten by one of them and realized she would become one of them. Yuna hurriedly struck Tuka with magic, sending him flying far away to avoid being bitten as well. Tuka clearly didn't want to leave Yuna like that. Yuna insisted he should leave her, as she wanted to separate from them. She said she hated Tuka to provoke him into leaving. Tuka remained unconcerned and stated that even if Yuna hated him and became a monster, he wouldn't leave her. Despite saying that, Tuka still struggled to confront the gang members. From atop a building, Belarco was seen offering assistance. However, he had a condition: Tuka must admit that he was a fake hero. Overwhelmed, Tuka could only surrender and confess that he was a fake hero. Belarco then descended from the building and swiftly dispatched the gang members, but he didn't move any further afterward. It turned out that he had sprained his ankle. This is the end of episode 5. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss part 6 of this series recap.